I am a lifelong Philadelphian, but born and raised in Bryn Mawr. I've always worked in Philadelphia, but my father was a physician in Bryn Mawr, so I was raised in the Lower Merion public school system and went on to settle in that area. I actually was a township commissioner in Lower Merion for a good many years, in addition to practicing law here in Philadelphia.
I came to Philadelphia when I was 3 weeks old. I was adopted. Okay. I stayed here until I was 14, and that's when my adopted mother passed away, and I had to go and live with my grandmother in South Carolina. So, and I attended school there. And when I became about 17, I returned to Philadelphia with an adopted brother. And I attended high school here.
Okay. And then that's where he met my mother at the USO dance. And then he went overseas. They got married. He went overseas. He flew 20 missions in B-17 bombers and never got a scratch. The plane always came back. Everybody got out after World War II, and then he went back in for the Korean War. And then after the Korean War, then he stayed in the Air Force. We started moving around, and other than Tennessee, Wisconsin, St. Louis, Fukuoka, Japan.
I was born in Vineland, New Jersey, 1942. When I grew up, you had to get into a car to get a pack of gum. Women wore house dresses. When I was 8 years old, my dad and I were watching a movie, and it was a love story, but there was a woman judge, and she brought everybody in front of her and made everything really great. She wasn't pretty. She had a hook nose, and her hair was pulled in a severe bun. And I remember I said to my father, I want to be like her. I want to be a judge. And he said to me, she's an old maid, and if you become a judge, you'll be an old maid too. And I wasn't sure what an old maid was, but it was evidently something bad. And so as I was getting older and I was a teenager, whenever I would break up with a boy or a guy didn't call me up to ask me out again, my father would always say, don't worry, you could be an old maid judge. And it was a joke in my family. So the day I was sworn in, I said from the bench, I said, well, Dad, today I'm a judge and I'm sure not an old maid.
The biggest needs you see?
Well, the biggest need for the poor citizens is legal services, access to justice. I think one of the things we looked at is only 1 of 4 individuals who need the help of the legal system can get it because of the funding that's not available there. There's not enough attorneys. We have a lot of attorneys that come out of law school and join these organizations like the Senior Law Center. And they're not being paid a whole lot there, but they have a feeling that they're doing something for the system, and that's a lot of their reward. I didn't get paid a whole lot as an assistant DA, but I thought I was doing a lot to help the citizens in their neighborhoods by eliminating crime. But some people come in front of the system and they have housing problems, they might have adoption problems, things like that, marital problems, and the services aren't provided.
That's right, Sean? That's right, Paleface. This is my blood brother. This is my blood father. I went through a whole ceremony. These rabbits, hey, Sarge. Oh, when they hear food, they go berserk.
Aren't you going to have some too, Sarge?
It's you.
Hello?
Don't you remember me?
Have we met?
Oh, I'm sorry, Sarge. This is my other sister, Rima. She just got in from college. I'm running Fox. Don't you remember me? I shot the wolf. I brought you beans. Oh, well, we could talk about that at dinner tonight. We do have a date for dinner.
Excuse me, Sarge, but Rima's going out with us.
But you'll be able to see her at family reunion, Sarge.
Hey, there.
Sarge, if White Eagle is your brother, then Rima's your sister.
And no girl likes to go out with her brother.
I'll be 92 in a week. But I think young. Yeah,
I'm
well,
still very active. I wrote a musical, for example, about Pancho Villa. I was lived in Mexico for 25 years, in Spain for 10. So I hablo español un poquito. Well, first of all, I'm vice commander of the Jewish war veterans. So that got me very interested in the plight and also the continuation of help for the veteran. So, and then a lovely lady from Senior Law Center approached me. Even though I don't like the care centers, senior care centers, I did join a couple of years ago, and I'm having great pinochle games, and I've changed my mind completely about that. But Margarita Martinez was at the center, and she told me about the senior law, invited me to one of their meetings, and that sold me because the people were so great to start with, and they were warm and giving, and I thought if there was anything that I can do, I mean, not my resources weren't that great, but if there was anything I could do, I would certainly help. And I'm happy to be part of it.
Everybody hits a fork in the road. Following the second year of law school, I was asked to be a intern in the State Department, which was fairly significant. And I was always a fan of politics and international law, and I loved that summer. And I had an opportunity at the conclusion of my State Department time to go back. Conclusion of my law school time to go back to the State Department, which ultimately I turned down because I also wanted to be a trial lawyer, and I saw practicing law as my. If I was going to do that, I needed to be in Philadelphia, where I had associations of people, and so that's what I ultimately did.
Yeah, I came back to Philadelphia and I started in the Philadelphia DA's office under then District Attorney Arlen Spector. First assistant Dick Sprague, who was a well-known lawyer in the city of Philadelphia. But I spent 20 years there in the DA's office, and I was elected the district attorney twice by the citizens of Philadelphia. As a Republican too, which is pretty amazing. The city of Philadelphia,
yeah, especially
Philly, 4-1 Democrat.
What was the city like that back then?
It was still in development. People used to badmouth Philadelphia and they'd say, "Why would you want to live there?" But the people that did that were mostly Philadelphians. But after my tour in the hospital, I said they had everything here. They had arts, they had sports, they had, the restaurant scene was just beginning. So I said I'll start my career here, and I got hired by Arlen Spector. Did my 20 years. And got out after that. Ran for mayor. Missed out on that for a little bit. But I ended up on the Supreme Court, which is elected statewide. So I just did 21 years there.
I started doing little things like having a hat making class, little arts and craft to get them in the office so I could get the applications filled out. And explain the loan and grant process to them. It was based on income. At that time, the maximum income was $3,500 a year. So that wasn't a lot of money. So they could either get a grant to rehab them homes, or they could get a grant and loan combo. So in doing that, I had arrangements with the public school, because I also worked on the school board with where my children were going to elementary school. I made arrangements to order so many school lunches a day and go to the school, pick them up, and I was able to feed the seniors that came into the center while I was working for the city. So anyway, with the private grants and everything, finally from 1970 to 1975, that's how I operated with private grants from soap company, philanthropists, whoever I could get money from. And finally, in 1975, Philadelphia Corporation for Aging heard about our program, and they started giving me my funding. My first funding was $145,000. So I could only serve lunch to about 50 or 60 people a day. Amen.
The first veteran nursing home was built in Philadelphia on Roosevelt Boulevard. I hung the first American flag in front of it. And one of the things that I did was my fraternity, that when you was pledged going through it, you had to spend so much time in there, volunteer, just to see, like, not only the veteran military, but people that have actually fought for this country, and the reason why that you have the opportunity that you have now. So it was a learning experience for them to meet with them and talk to them by some of the things that you're talking to now. And I thought that was a program that I thought was worthwhile.
I'm involved with I got involved with the Senior Law Center initially with the Mayor's Commission on Aging for seniors. I meet a lot of veterans. The one saying is, when I was in the service, I was proud to serve my country. Now I'm working at the Senior Law Center, I'm serving the community.
In Philadelphia, 1953. Actually in Langhorne, right off, we lived in a house off in the Chamonix Creek. And, but I've lived most of my life in South Jersey, or in the military. And I've been in Philly for this whole century. Well, I mean, I think the services here are incredibly important because there's an awful lot of people nowadays with the economy the way it is, where money is such an inhibiting factor on just living an ordinary life for people that are not wealthy. And people feel lost and as if they have no place to turn. People are being evicted from their homes and their apartments at probably record-breaking rates. It's hard to put food on the table if you have children or even if you live alone, so people need help, and most people can't afford attorneys. So it's a very difficult time for people in this country. There's lots of hardship, and it's this organization and organizations like it that really can make the difference.
I think really what I would want to say to the younger Philadelphia lawyers is you can enrich this wonderful career that you've chosen, and it is a wonderful career. You can enrich it by reaching out and sharing and being part of things. If you just sit at your desk or take your file and work it and then go home, come in and probably taking the work home with you and then work at your desk at home and then come in the next morning and do the same thing over again, you're missing what it is that really will enrich being a member of this profession. And if you reach out a little bit, stretch out a little bit, look at what you can do through a whole variety of public interest organizations. You have your pick, you can do that. There are bar association committees, there's electoral reform issues, there's a whole range of issues. There's plenty of issues for everyone who wants to go there. I think it's been one of the real joys of my life, and I would just hope that the younger lawyers that are coming up will take a breath and say, I can do something that will help someone else, but at the same time will make me feel more complete as a lawyer.